Alright. Let's see if she'll even be fun in, I guess, 4th gear, huh? Alright, so let me turn off the welder here a second. Alright, so we got, you can kind of see, so right here there was an existing hole. That's where I made my rod come into. Then I extended with a lot bigger bolt. This is actually even bigger than what was on there. So again, I thought it was gonna be a short throw. It ended up being a lot longer throw. And when I push this clutch in, I'm gonna try to do my best I can with my hand. You can see that everything is working as should. So brakes the clutch, and all the way down, if I slam it, that should lock up the brake. So should give me everything exactly that I need, so that way I can still use my clutch without it engaging the brake, but when I need the brake, push it all the way down, break the belt as best I can, and also slam on the brakes. So yep, we'll be able to put them to the test hopefully really soon. But now we can start getting some rear tires and everything back on, because that should wrap up everything I needed done on the rear end other than filling it. So I might go ahead and just start filling this rear end, get the tires mounted back up, then we'll probably work on getting the front end jacked up so we can finish up everything there. Alright, getting a lot more done on the Wild Horse. As you can see, everything's back up and bolted. Tires are back on now that the brake system and everything should be fine-tuned and working. Eventually, got to get that panel back on and button up a few things, get the battery in. But now we're just going to switch gears and get some of the main focus done on the front. And then there's going to be one other little modification, which I'll just go over when we do that. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to get these rims on both sides, make sure they're true as possible, which I've already done the test. I've spun it, because these are all more or less custom. As you can see, that is really close to true. I will admit there's a little spot in there that has a little bit of a hiccup, but honestly it could just be in the rim itself. These aren't very high quality rims to begin with, and now with the custom bolt pattern, but I know I had them pretty damn square to begin with, so I feel good about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack a few spots on each washer, because that just helps these sit in there to make sure I get no movement, because the holes are a little bigger than what is supposed to be there, and these were the stock holes for what I ran on Predator with the 110 millimeter set. Now it's up to, or now it's down to 100 millimeter, which is why we had to weld this washer in there, and then also drill a whole new pattern. So what I'm going to do is get them all tacked in, and then again go do that on the other side, and we'll be good to go. Alright, figured I'd take a short little video and show what I did. So there is the new tie rod with the new hem joint. I end up using the 3/8 and then another 3/8 nut and bolt right there on the 90. So that's actually what's going to go into the steering unit itself. Then this will go right to the tie rod on the tire. So that'll go there. It's fully adjustable. I got to adjust it all the way in, and I can adjust it in and out. And this is what the stock one looks like. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut off that end, and then cut that off, and then I will get, if I can get my stuff together, here we go. And then this will get welded onto the end. So let's see. This will get chopped, yep, so more or less this will get chopped back. That will get welded on, that will get chopped off, and that will get welded on. So pretty simple, straightforward. Matt's been doing that for a while, and it works really good. Just one adjustable part of it, and then one stationary, and he's had very good luck with that. I believe that's how Blue on Blacks is as well. So that's what I'm going to run on here, and that's how Waterboy is. So I'm going to go let this go in the snow and harden up a little bit, and then I'm going to get that one cut up and get that one going. I already got everything tacked up on the washers. So again, the list is just so small now to be able to fire this thing up and you know, get it ready to where we'll be able to drive soon. So stay tuned. All right, Travis Mower's going wild, and we got to the point that I've been really excited to get to. Not going to actually hit the trails or anything else, but it's ready to try to fire up. One thing that was done, just so if anyone else is mentioning anything about the exhaust itself, we did, or I should say, I did put a restrictor in here about a quarter of the way in to create more back pressure. But then all the clutch and everything's done, exhaust is done, everything's mounted. So this is more or less the final look of it until the front bumper gets on. Don't mind the little bit of a squat to one side. The back tire's pretty low compared to the other side, so we'll do just a quick little walk around. Clutch, everything's back on. I just put some fresh gas in it. Brakes hooked up. Really, other than putting some air in the tire, and I got to fix where the battery's going to go. Since the motor went back, the battery doesn't fit exactly the way I want. So that's something that will have to come at a later date before I can actually drive it. But for now, we're at least going to see if we can get it to fire up and what it sounds like. So let's see what happens.
Hydrostatic ends, they're making them out of plastic casings and everything. What? So you have one and done, and it's like, you know, did you give it a squirt?
Well, never would I want to come back to. Yesterday, last night, late last night, I was able to get this to more or less fire up, but it wasn't priming the gas tank, and as far as I knew, there was no leaks, and I didn't see no active leaks underneath. But as Matt texted me this morning when he came out to the garage, there was gas on the ground, and he put that pan underneath to catch the rest. So got to start digging in to figure out exactly what is actually leaking and causing this. It appears to be exactly straight back here. So I guess it means it's most likely it's not the fuel line midway or anything else. So let's figure out what's going on and get it fixed and see what we can do to get this thing running possibly today, since we are pretty much done with about everything. So alright, as I've been saying, this wild horse is getting so close to being ready to actually fire up on its own, with no more or less accelerant or anything, and everything else. From moving the motor back, I thought in just that tray, of course I didn't measure, nothing else like that, I thought this battery would fit there. Well, obviously it's not, so what I'm going to do is take it back out, and I'm going to try to clean up. There's a little extra steel here before the steering shaft, to see if I can notch that or take that off to give me a little bit more room to see if I can get that to slide down at least a little better, because I don't want it to lean like that, and then secure and strap that in. Luckily the fuel line wasn't anything too bad. It ended up just being kind of a fault of my own. I didn't have a good clamp there, so now I got a good clamp. That's the fuel shut off. There's still fuel in the tank, and nothing appears to be dripping down now, so I'll just kind of keep an eye on that for the moment. But I got it wide open, and I need to get some air in the back tires, get the clips and washers, everything back on the front tires, and again, figure out that battery thing. Probably should wire up my tether while I'm at it before I hopefully get to take this thing out today, and we'll get an idea of what this thing will do. Alright, I think I'm ready to go ahead and give this thing a shot again. Last night, unfortunately, it didn't start, at least not without spraying a little carb cleaner and stuff. It wasn't getting primed. Ended up having a leak in the back hole, or in the back hose, on the fuel tank itself. That was my fault for not making sure it was a good clamp and nice and tight. So that's all fixed. So I fixed the electrical. I got this in there. It's definitely pretty tight. I've got a big old zip tie around it to make sure it stays in place. Got everything done here. Choke is hooked up. Throttle's hooked up. Exhaust is obviously done. Just making sure I fill the rear end to make sure it's full. Tires are pumped up. Foot throttle's back in place. All the panels. I just need to, before I could actually leave it out of the garage, I need to put the bolts back in there. But just in case I have any issues with the electrical, I left it undone, because that's what I've been playing hell with, is getting everything buttoned all up for that. But again, I believe pretty much right now it's turnkey. So we'll get it going here in just a second and see what happens. good and bad news. I finally got it running, and I got it running right. Sitting at an idle. The idle can be adjusted down a little bit. But here, why don't we just... Alright, so now that we can actually hear ourselves, it's actually not too terribly loud. Just in the garage, it ends up making it a little louder. I was hoping it had a little bit more of a rumble, but honestly, it has still really nice clean sound, especially when I get on it. With that though, something is wrong with the trans. This was out of a more or less a mower that just always sat around, so either this mower is not any good, or the trans is no good, or just something when I bolted it all back together, something just didn't get connected right. Because it doesn't matter if I put it high, low, reverse, first, second, third, I can feel everything spinning, but nothing is actually engaging to the putting power to the wheels. I can see the pulley on the trans spinning, no problem. I can see the shaft spinning. It's even tacked on there, so I know that it doesn't matter about a key or anything else. The shafts on the rems are not spinning in place. Them are keyed and everything's in there. It's posi locked. So I have absolutely no idea why it's not going into reverse, first, second, or third. I can feel when I go from high to low, I can feel the difference of the trans and the way it's spinning. So it seems like it's going to be something pretty simple or stupid. I just don't know exactly what that simple or stupid thing is. And unfortunately for me, it means I have to drop this rear end. So I did all this work, got it all back together, finally got it running, and of course it literally doesn't take off. So it's kind of a bummer, but the good news is it's way farther than it was last week. It's running phenomenal. I mean, well, it's running phenomenal in the sense of that it's staying running on its own. I've had a few little quirks with it since I've been able to get it primed, but I think I've watched myself put some dirt in the carb, so I think I've just gotten the jet dirty here or there, sprayed a little carb cleaner in it, cleaned it out, and it's been running much better and smoother. So I think now it's just going to be getting this thing back torn down and gone through and figure out exactly what's going on with it, and put the rear end back together and put it back in. And luckily it's like four or six bolts to take it off the mower itself, and then it's 6 bolts to separate it. So it's not like it's an extremely complicated thing, but we'll do at least a quick little walk around. So the panel, everything's all wired back up. I put that in there. Let's see, I doubt it will fire right now without the clutch. Oh, no, it did. So this is the kill too. So I got 2 kills. I got that one, that one. This just puts power to the ignition. So see, there's nothing there. This puts power to all my switches. So I got 2 kills. I got my tether that I hooked to myself, and then on the panel itself for a kill. Clutch pedal, everything's working. One really good thing is the clutch brakes enough that the belt's not spinning. It doesn't seem to be overheating or tearing anything up. The belt alignment seems good, as even when I've had it spinning in its high gear, the belt never threw or anything. But again, I pushed down the clutch, I can watch everything come to a stop like it's supposed to. Just unfortunately it's not engaging to be able to drive, so it's a real bummer. I want to throw some mud, but it is what it is. You know, things happen for a reason. Again, it's way farther than it was last week and every other week since, you know, December or so, since we really started working on this thing. On Tuesday, which, well, probably by the time you guys see this video, we'll have the names and everything on the hood. If not, this will be one more video out. I got quite a bit of footage right now out there. But so really hope you guys been enjoying this. It's, again, real bummer letdown for me. I'm just excited that I was able to show you guys what it sounds like at this moment, but I really wanted to get some driving footage of it, but we'll get it there. Again, we're getting so close, so appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to us. We just hit 1,900 and just growing and growing and growing. If you don't follow us on TikTok and you use TikTok, go do that as well. We're getting almost to 50,000. So let's keep having fun, keep these mowers wild, and let's get this wild horse going. Alright, so by now at this point, you have known that the wild horse has ran, and that I sure gave this thing hell. I did everything I could to take off, and it just wouldn't move. Tried every gear, Thought the high-low thing, the motor gave me some issues. I finally got that running better. Um, and still went to go try to get in gear and leave. Doesn't matter, reverse, forward, neutrals, uh, first through third, nothing mattered. Everything seemed to be spinning. Everything sounded like it was engaging in the transmission. Based on my little knowledge of working on these, when I had it all open, all the teeth looked really good, but it just didn't move. So that was yesterday. We ended up pushing it back in here. Today's Monday, and it was all put together. And today, Harley, she's like, "Hey, it's nice out. It's like 5:30 or so." She's like, why don't you go take a look at the quad? It's still pretty nice out. Her quad wouldn't start, and she's like, "Why don't you go take a look at that? If it's something simple, or at least try to figure out what's wrong with it." Then you can, take a little time, work on your mower. I'm like, really? Okay. So I jumped right on the opportunity, came over, got to start messing with her quad. Come to find out, it was just the battery. The negative was really loose, so it wasn't really charging the battery, and it wasn't getting enough power to be able to start it. As soon as I did that, boom, things been fine, running great. So really good news there. Didn't think it was anything too major. But back to this. Finally, I started messing with it, took tires off real quick, body panels, everything else, dropped the rear, so it's pretty straightforward on these wheel horses. Once I did that, started pulling it all apart. Matt at the same time was pulling on Waterboy here, which someone's already noticed. Joseph already noticed, one of our biggest fans, that Waterboy did get some new tires. So, yep, it's sitting on, I think, number 20s now, Sun F's, just like Dog. But with that, so we were both cracking open some. He was having issues with high-low as well, but his would still work. Just once in a while, he would literally just jump out of high, sometimes jump into high, go into neutral. Is just acting all crazy. So with that, we're like, all right, well, we'll compare these two and try to figure out exactly what's going on with both of them. Well, could not figure out what was wrong with mine. Everything seemed fine. Thought maybe it was just some kind of coincidence, because then the high-low seemed like it was working, so that's what I kept thinking. It was just somehow stuck in neutral. Long story short, I remembered when we were first working on this thing, none of us have ever drove this. Matt picked this thing up literally for $75, with the Kohler engine and everything else that was in it. Apparently never ran for a very long time. As you can tell, sat outside a lot, and that's why it's all weathered. But luckily for us, I really like that, and we're going to keep that look. But with it, we never had any trial and error or getting any testing done to this rear end. So all we had was our eyeballs on it. And when we took it all apart and I was taking out all the original oil, I was like, holy cow, there's a random key in here somehow. Couldn't figure out how. I beat on the thing. I did not know how to fully disassemble it. I didn't watch enough videos. Tell you right now, take it off from the drum side. You take the brake drum off, and it'll slide right down as long as you clean the shafts really good. So keep that in mind. All the gears should stay on one side, then pull it off, the cover off from the brake drum side. Real easy. Shouldn't snag at all. If you are, just be very careful, cautious, make sure everything's in neutral when you pull it out. But okay, so again, get back to that. Trying to diagnose it, and I'm sitting over there getting ready to permatex it to put it back together, because to me it looks like everything's fine. Then we started messing with that, and as soon as Matt says it, I'm almost noticing that there's a key spot, and he's like, hey, did you break a shift key? And I'm like, hang on a minute, this thing has a shift key? Because our Peerless 820s do, and I've already broke 2 of them. And sure enough, there's a little half-moon key inside that transaxle. I didn't take no video of it. I probably should have. Speaking of that, actually, we got one open here. So it is that little bugger right there. So it's on this gear. If you don't have that, this thing will do literally nothing. It's just like you're in neutral. So that's there in case it shears or something like that. It breaks off, and you break that instead of the whole transmission. That's the whole idea behind it. So that's what was missing. That was the key that somehow fell out. Probably the gears shifted when I originally did it. Never noticed it when I put it back together. I didn't sit there and try to spin it to make sure when I spin the input shaft that spins the output shaft and everything else. So long story short, it is now working. Well, by hand. I haven't put no power to it. I was going to wait till live, which will actually be on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. You guys probably won't see this till Thursday or even next week at this point, because I did so much of this thing last week. I got so much footage, guys. Really appreciate you guys being patient, and I'll end up making a summarized video of this once this thing gets fully going, which we're just that close. But long story short, this thing's going to run tomorrow on live. So if you've already been paying attention to our lives or whatnot, or I put any shorts out of it, this thing should be up and running. Hopefully drive it tomorrow just to make sure it moves back and forth. We're going to get all the names on the hood, but just want to at least give you an update, just lesson learned. That's what I've always been trying to do for you guys. That's why I'm doing these build series, to try to help anyone. We don't have no machine shop. We're literally, you know, you can see I'm not the most organized person, especially because I get so little time to work on it. Once I'm working on it, the tool ends up where it lies or throwing up on the bench. You know, I want to take some time to actually get out here and clean once the chaos is kind of done, which it's that close. We'll just be able to start fine-tuning things, get, you know, a little work done on blue and black, but nothing as of a whole project rebuild, you know, Predator 670, everything else. So but yeah, so again, we're doing really good. Got the thing running. Should be able to get some footage of this thing finally running this week or this weekend. Really get to test this thing out. Again, gonna get all the names and everything on the hood. Appreciate everyone's patience. Hit that button if you haven't already, that like button. Would love if you guys would give me a comment. It just helps YouTube again understand that you guys are liking what you're watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe. We're getting so close to that 2,000 mark, and then we'll go for that 3,000, 4,000, and so on and so forth. And if you don't follow us on TikTok, you're missing out, because that's where about 50,000 people just like you like to watch our videos. So appreciate you guys, and let's make these things wild and keep them wild. And we'll get some updates as soon as we can on Wild Horse. And maybe I'll give you a tip of what we're going to do, since that one broke on the high-low, what we're going to do with that. So again, just appreciate you guys. Hope you guys are learning some stuff about wheel horses. I'm really loving them. Haven't really got to drive it to tell you personally if I like this style better than my more or less MTD garden tractor style with the Peerless 820, but I'll be able to get a feel for it and see what I like better. But appreciate you guys.
What's up, everyone? Travis Mower's Gone Wild, and you can probably see it. What is it?
Check it out. So we have the decal on the hood, Wild Horse, Mowers Gone Wild, and you may be wondering why it's sideways. I'll tell you what, I was an advocate that I wanted this to be this way, so that way everyone can see it from the camera angle from me sitting this way. But Matt, Ed, and more or less, yeah, it's pretty much just Matt and Ed. Matt's like, no, it needs to be that way, needs to be that way, needs to be that way, needs to be center. He's like, everyone comes up to the tractor and it needs to be facing the front just like the mower. So when I stand back, it looks more or less just like that. And once he said that, I couldn't not see it, and I'm like, you know what, you're right, I like it. Pulse of Redneck made this, so what I mean by that is go check out Pulse of Redneck. You don't gotta do it right this second unless you really want to and come back to this, but Pulse of Redneck on YouTube, one of my really good friends. He drives Iron Lotus, he's out here all the time. He does all kinds of awesome different things. You know, you have to watch his stuff. It's just that good. Between his dune trucks, just all his toys that he makes, all on budgets, fabricates it all. You get to watch his whole process. He's just brilliant at making sure you walk through, you're entertained, and just go check him out. You won't regret it. We're gonna do some signing here in a minute of all the names of everyone that's bought a shirt. And if you have bought a shirt, I got one that is unaccounted for that someone just bought, I think was a day or two ago. No idea who did it. I don't get notified who it is. You have to tell me, take a photo with your shirt on and put it on our page, something. That way I can make sure your name gets added. So your name definitely gets added on here when you go buy a shirt from mowersgonewild.com. So what I'm getting at is I believe this thing's totally finished. Rear end is back in. The gears actually work. I've already tested it. The oil filled back in. It's not leaking. It's not leaking gas anymore. The clutch has worked. I've checked it. I've done everything but actually drive it. I've only done it up off the air, or up off the ground, I should say, to make sure that it's working. All my gauges are working. We got power when we turn this on. Choke's working. This one does nothing, key does nothing, push button works, tether works, and this is also a kill as well. And we just installed a tachometer, so this is going to let me know exact RPM of this motor to make sure I don't over rev it, because I do not have a limiter on how much throttle I give it. And I'm hoping that it's not an issue, and that's why I'm going to have that, so I can start getting used to this, getting used to the sound, making sure I don't over rev it. So yeah, we're getting that close. So why don't we fire this bad boy up and see if this tachometer works. All right, so we're just giving this thing
a little life to it. We're checking out the tachometer. I think we got it set. We're trying to figure out and dial in the RPM. I'm still not 100% sure that the carb is totally clean or we're getting enough feel. We're not really going to know until we can get this thing out and about and actually drive it, but I'm going to try to fine tune it the best I can here in the garage. So I'd say that she's pretty much good to roll at this point. I feel good for the tach. I like having this. We can be able to put the air breather box back on and everything. Again, I think we have the idle about where we need it. I feel I got the carb pretty darn clean. Idling the best it has since we've started this thing up, since we've done all the changes and actually had it mounted in here. It's had very, very limited runtime. I know the rear end's finally back up and going the way it needs to. I've already been able to test the brake. Again, everything from up, jacked up, tie rods and everything are all done. So the list is literally down to pretty much nothing at this point other than making sure we give any of what I've been calling the subscribers, the people that have helped support this build, help the channel and everything else in the sense of helping, you know, make us a little profit to help pay for this and help make this mower and all the mowers even better. So with that, let me grab my phone. We're going to practice a couple names. I'm going to try to write them on a sheet so that way I can figure out exactly what size I think. Make sure I got the spelling and everything correct. And we're going to start adding some of the names that need to get added onto this. First, we're going to get the hood all the way down and in place. Alright. So, again, let's just give that Postal Redneck just one more shout out. His name's going to have to go right underneath it. You know, might even have to dedicate it saying designed by Sir Postal Redneck. Because that's when I asked him what he wants his name to be on the mower, and you know what he wanted? You know what he said? He said Sir Postal Redneck is what he wants. So that is what we're going to give him. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start figuring all this out. So my cousin Ben, absolutely, you know, 100% supporter my whole life. And sure enough, he went on there and bought 2 shirts. As soon as he was one of the very first people to ever buy anything. Actually, he might have been. I think actually he was. Joseph's been a big fan. He was a TikTok supporter. I said any TikTok supporter and subscriber would get their name on it. And he was the only one to actually try to actually join the I don't even remember the Patreon account or whatever, which I did shut down at this time. You want to do anything like that, you can do it all through YouTube. We have a membership program through YouTube that you're more than welcome to help support this and us. Otherwise, again, merchandise that you get something that you get to wear, and every single shirt purchased helps more or less keep our mowers wild, and will help Bill to get me that carburetor kit and everything else moving forward, as well as getting your name put on here. So if you do buy merchandise, either as soon as you get it, as soon as you order it, whatever you want to do, make sure I know. I would absolutely love a photo of you in the shirt. I would love to be able to make a collage of everyone wearing my merchandise that I am so proud that I get to design. And anyone that buys this shirt, I cannot wait to see it as. Then I think Postal Redneck will absolutely just admire it, being that he helped make this design. Actually, he did make this design, and cannot wait to see that on a shirt. So again, we're going to get right to getting all these names, getting to clear this, and that's going to be the first iteration, and then we'll just keep adding them as much as you guys want to keep helping out and also getting something in return. So let's go ahead and get started. right, everyone. So I just signed all the first names. I'm sorry if I missed anyone. Please let me know if I did. I sure don't think I did. But designed by Postal Redneck. Again, you're just always going to hear me say his name because as far as I know, he's one of my best friends and he's always going to be involved. But he took all that time to make this without me ever even knowing, and I absolutely love it. I'm just going to skip right here to Harley Tate because that will be my wife come August, and then we'll just kind of skip up and go from here. They don't even know it yet, but Matt and Jen, Tyler, mom and dad, my soon-to-be in-laws, but that means nothing to me about in-laws. They're my mom and dad at the end of the day. And they're the ones that more or less created Harley, let alone me and Matt starting this together. Mowers Gone Wild, and here I am making a video and actually having supporters that help support this channel, and so every single one of you deserve a shout out on here. My cousin Ben for coming out this past year and actually being involved in the races, let alone being my first to go on there and making sure he bought 2 shirts after that race to help support more or less the cause, to show that he had so much fun and that he supports me, and I absolutely appreciate that, and I don't tell him that enough. So a lot of love to my cousin Ben. He's more or less the closest thing I have to an older brother. Growing up with him, absolutely love him. Our buddy Mike, hey, with Iron Angel, I give him crap all the time. His mom's actually the one that bought him shirts, but he would be more than willing to buy a shirt. We're just going to help make him some because he's always out here helping. He's helped with some of the ideas on this, even though I've done all the physical labor on this, other than Ed welding up my rear end, which actually Ed's name needs to go on here now I think of it as well, so we'll add him here in just a minute. Ed, our neighbor, phenomenal guy. He's always helping us out anytime he can, or giving us advice, or trying to just be around. But again, Mike, Mother Mitchelltree, that's Mike's mom, bought him and his brother both a shirt just to show the support for the channel. Then obviously we have Joseph, I would almost say our #1 fan. So obviously he's getting his name on there. So that's the names we have for now. I hope you guys enjoy that. If you want your name on there, go to mowersgonewild.com and purchase a shirt. Make sure you take a photo of it as soon as you get it. Not only do I want to see it, I want to plaster it all over our platform just because it will actually make me smile. And with that, your name will get written on there right away. And so just continue to keep watching and supporting us if you like it. Thanks, guys. All right, so let's wrap up the decals. Again, this was the last main part of this build for now. We are going to get a bumper made. I can't even quite remember now if I actually even showed that the hem joints and everything are all on. Everything is working. Wheels are all taken care of. Clutch, I mean, everything is done. Just talking to the Postal Redneck on Messenger because I was shooting him some of this because I let him know that for one, the decals on what it looks like, and that making sure he knew he got the shout out that he designed that and how much I really appreciate it, because I have absolutely no idea how long that took. He tries to say 3 hours, but I've done enough decals. I have a feeling there's no way that he designed that in about 3 hours. But with that, I am thinking about adding this idler there. When I have the clutch in, the belt definitely rises, especially with no guard, but it's not popping off. But to help keep some extra tension, I am really thinking about adding this one right here. It'll help keep that belt out of trouble and help, again, just make sure I have enough bite every which way. So it's something that'd be simple enough to take off if I don't end up needing it or don't want it. But that is something that I am thinking about adding before I take this for a ride, hopefully on Sunday, which hopefully I can get that footage to you guys soon as well. But again, we are getting so close. Everything's just ready to go, ready to roll. Again, just need to get a front bumper. We're going to clear this real quick. That seat's how I'm going to send it for now, because to me that sets off the whole look. This whole patina, keeping it this stock look from just being outside weathered. It's not completely rusted. To me, this thing is like perfect. So this is how I'm going to keep it. I'm going to roll with it. Maybe make some more changes with some Mowers Gone Wild added here and there type deal, but it's not going to be near as just out there like Blue on Black or Predator was. This is a wheel horse I want to be more or less is classic but ruthless and just absolutely a monster if I can keep it that way. So let's keep these things wild. Let's get this cleared and let's get ready to send it, guys. This is first ride. I'll get my gloves on here. Make sure I have that tether hooked up. No clue how wild she's truly gonna be. I like that. You guys can see that pretty well. Give everyone a quick shout out. So we have Joseph, one of our biggest fans, Mother Mitchell-Tree, Mike Mitchell-Tree, Ed the neighbor, my cousin Ben, Clement Shaw, Matt and Jen. We got Harley on there, and Sir Mr. Postal Redneck for making the design of the Wild Horse. And now I gotta figure out how to get my tether on me. I can't see very well. I got a chest protector. Give me nothing but issues. It's been losing its prime. I changed the location of the fuel. Definitely is full of fuel right now. The most I've seen in it so far. I don't have any sort of fuel leaking on the ends, which I was getting a little bit of that, so I think that was helping it lose its prime. I was squishing this hose, so I believe everything should be able to let me finally drive this thing. But every time I think that, it seems to mess up. So at this point, we'll just see if it'll move. I still have not moved. All right. It moved. Most I've done so far.